Hello and welcome to the Dave C Show. Today we have Kelly. How are you, Kelly?
I'm great. How are
That's
you?
I'm doing really well. I've been watching your videos, and I really love your room that you've got going on there. So it's so decorative, and
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's colorful, isn't it?
yeah, it's awesome. It's a really good backdrop.
Thanks. Yeah, it's got a good vibe in it too. I like being in here.
Yeah, I could imagine you would. I can imagine you would.
Yeah,
So
it's good.
today we have a pretty interesting show for the people, and
Yeah,
we
lots of stuff.
yeah, lots of interesting stuff to talk about. But before we start that, I just wanted you to share what you shared with me about what's happening in America right now.
Yeah, because last week I was telling you, really nobody's doing anything about the jab and the
Just say the thing.
stuff.
Yeah.
And um, but school's getting ready to start. And so all weekend long, even the county right next to me, which is only 30 miles away, they're all protesting. The parents are protesting because they're saying their children aren't going to go back to school under these conditions. And they're carrying around these signs that say, my body, my right, my child, my decision, you
Mm.
know, my child, my choice, stuff like that. And I just think it's really beautiful to see so many people out there saying, fuck you, this is enough.
Yeah.
We're not playing this game anymore.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I love it. So, yay for Americans.
Yeah. And look, that really highlights an important juncture, I think, where humanity's at, doesn't it? I mean,
Yeah,
because we're seeing things all over the world, specifically in Europe a lot, and I've been
yeah,
seeing a lot of interesting videos where the riot police in France are actually marching with the people now. You know,
in
I've seen a
Paris.
lot of those videos.
In Paris.
Yeah,
Did you see that? That's
mm,
beautiful. I
it
love
is.
that.
Yeah,
I'm so happy for them.
it's
I'm so
amazing.
happy for us worldwide. This is it, guys. This is it.
Yeah, I
This
really
is
do
where the
feel.
tide turns.
Yeah, I think it's already begun to turn, and it's now just the beginning, the start of something beautiful that's going to happen. And
Yes.
I think that August, for a lot of people, are saying August is a big month, and it's already starting to look that way. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think we're already seeing results of the 8-8 Lion Gate portal.
Right. Yeah, I wanted to talk about that a little bit because I don't really know anything about it. And for anybody who's unfamiliar with it, could you just explain to us what it is and why it's so significant at this point in time?
Okay, so once a year on August 8th and a few days before and after, there's this portal that opens up that we call the Lion's Gate, right? Because Leo is in something. It's in something. It's in, what is it in? How do you say that? I don't remember. I'm so blonde right now. Um, Everybody that's listening knows what I'm talking about, though, I'm sure.
What the
They're
star
going to
sign,
have like,
you mean?
yeah, Leo, the star sign is in. It's the whole thing about like not Osiris, Orion's um, alignment with the Great Pyramids of Giza. Okay,
Right.
it's a huge, powerful moment. It's the perfect alignment of the pyramids with Orion.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
something to do with the constellation Leo being in something. I want to say the sun, but I don't know that that's right.
uh,
Anyway, moving on. I digress. Um, it's a very, very powerful portal that opens up at that time. And so, what can we do with a powerful portal opening up? We can focus our intention and truly, like, quickly, rapidly manifest anything that we want, right?
mm,
Anything that we really want, that we can feel the emotion of it and really focus our intent on, we can manifest with ease, like beautiful ease.
okay.
Okay. But this particular one was so much stronger than the normal yearly occasion because of the new moon energy that it was coupled with,
Mm.
which made it even more like magnified, right? It's like to the ninth magnified. So all of the intentions that went out, and they were powerful. I did a video on it that night because the energy, I mean, like I could feel, to me, I don't know why, but at midnight, I felt a change in my energy. It just like clicked.
Hmm.
And like 1 minute I was sitting there, I was exhausted. I've been busting my ass doing my website. And the next thing you know, and I wasn't even really paying attention to the time. But the next thing you know, I'm just like so jazzed. I am so full of energy. And I'm just like, oh my God, what's going on? Why am I so energetic right now? And then I looked down and it was midnight. And I was like, oh yeah, that it's got to be that. And of course, I was waiting to do my intentions at 1:11 because that's a special time. So I went ahead and did the video about it, and then I did my intentions, set my intentions for all of us. And then today on the news is when I heard about the county right next to me protesting, and
Yeah.
my county is protesting, and a whole lot of the state of Indiana is protesting, and Kentucky, and several other states. And I'm just like, this is phenomenal. This is
Mm.
so phenomenal. Because even if you don't realize that it's a Lionsgate portal that's opening up and that it's a great opportunity to create, if you're sitting there as a parent dwelling on school's getting ready to open and they're getting ready to force me to do things to my child that I don't want done, then you're already focusing on what you want as the outcome
Mm.
in that moment, last night, right? Yesterday, the day before. And this energy, it lasts for about 7 to 10 days,
Right.
from the middle of it, both directions.
Okay.
And so I think that all of these parents were fully assisting in this manifestation that was the very same intent that I was focused on, which is getting rid of the bullshit and ushering in the brand new, beautiful
Mm.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fullness again.
That's
So
fantastic.
yeah, it was a really important, powerful thing.
So we right now is the best time to manifest a free world, a world without any restrictions on our daily existence, medical or otherwise.
Yes. And
And
natural. Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. Yeah, I
Yeah.
de- it's gonna be. I don't know. It is a very very exciting time to be alive. Let's just say that. I'm kind of speechless at this point, but yeah, it is a very exciting time to be alive if you know what you're looking for. I think a lot of people can kind of find themselves in a probably not anybody watches these videos, but you know, a lot of people that I don't know, they're probably finding themselves in this. I got to take this thing if I want to continue living. In many ways, and unfortunately, you know,
Yeah.
for, fortunately that you don't have to, but it is easy. How the
Right.
human mind works. It's easy to kind of lock yourself into this state of despair, uh, and not
Yeah,
see the bigger picture.
we can't fault them, you
No,
know.
no,
We can't fault any of them. And part of my intentions were to reverse any people like that took that on,
right.
to reverse any effects that may be from it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's because we've been mind
So
controlled,
they're protected.
for so long, ever since we were born, and our parents too,
Yeah.
and so on and so forth. So it's not surprising, that I think we've done really well, to be honest, to get us to this point. Given
I
everything
do
they've
too.
thrown at us, in every way possible, we've done amazingly well. And I
In
think,
every
yeah,
Oh, me too.
yeah,
I am so extraordinarily pleased with humanity right now.
yeah, it's just the beginning too.
Yeah.
So, considering that uh, all this programming has been going on for so long, we're going to be talking a little bit about some historical things today. We're going to be talking about um, different continents, actually, because I watched a video, one of Janine's videos recently, she did about a continent called Zealandia, which is off the east coast of Australia, which is actually about two-thirds of the size of Australia. And it wasn't just discovered recently. I think it's been discovered. I think somebody was talking about mid 90s even. They were talking about it. Uh, but I don't know the exact timeline, but it's been discovered now. And in Janine's video, she said that the reason why they discovered it is because they were doing a lot of nefarious things there, and they hid it from us. But I think it's actually because it's New Zealand is part of this continent, and so is New Caledonia. So it's like they're the tallest parts of this continent, and they're quite far away, reasonably far away from each other. These two tallest parts, and
Right.
they look like two islands or three islands because New Zealand's
Yeah.
two islands. But it's just one big continent, and these two parts are the highest parts. Uh, so that's really fascinating, and it got me thinking about all these other continents because we hear you know of things that have been submerged, and this one I think it is still submerged. It's not like you can see the land. You could probably literally walk there from Australia to to this continent because it's so close.
Yeah. Wasn't there some kind of bridge too?
No, I don't know. It's possible. Yeah,
Like a land,
that,
a
that
natural,
make
like a national land bridge.
it makes sense.
It
But
seems like it seems like I remember reading there was a land bridge also that they discovered, like
yeah,
a natural land bridge, you know.
and what's interesting actually is that I just thought of is that because I would imagine that it said New Zealand and New Caledonia were part of this thing, but
Mhm.
there are other islands around there like Fiji and Tonga, the Tonga Islands and
Yeah.
stuff. Like all the inhabitants of those islands, they look very similar. So
Hmm.
I don't think it's outside the realms of possibility that those are also part of this continent, because they're so
I just
close.
do. Yeah.
I mean, but then again,
I do too.
they could have migrated too, but
I think it was probably all one type of peoples
yeah,
originally. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense because obviously we can't really believe everything we've heard, and the timelines of this thing are you know 80 million years ago. I mean, who even knows how old the Earth is at this point? We've probably been lied to about that too, but
You have.
yeah, yeah, and we'll get into that a little bit later when we talk about some of the other continents and timelines,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
yeah, but one of the interesting things that I noticed when I was researching this Zealandia was another continent which is actually on the other side of Australia, uh, called Kumari Kunda. Is that it?
It's Kamari Kondam,
Kandam, yeah, Kandam. Hmm.
or as we would say in the South, Kamari Kandam.
Yeah. So that was quite an interesting discovery, and of course, Wikipedia says it's a mythological continent that never existed. But all these myths and legends, uh, in my opinion, have some truth to them. If not, they are the truth.
Oh, I think so too.
Yeah,
But there like there's actual photographs now of this place,
I don't know if I
right?
saw
I mean, wasn't that real
photographs.
photographs that I was looking at
Ah,
pictures.
yeah, right,
Are
okay.
they fake?
I don't know. I
But it
haven't
showed
seen
like
them.
statues. It was like, oh my God, you didn't see it. That's why I was like flipping out over it
Right.
because it's like these beautiful, huge heads of statues that are laying on the floor of the ocean of women, like
Ah,
women's
okay.
faces.
Yeah.
You can clearly tell it was like a matriarch or a goddess worship type peoples, right? Because all of these great big statues everywhere were of feminine faces.
Yeah.
And um, the God, the architecture was phenomenal. I mean, it's wrecked because of whatever happened, but
Right.
what's left of it is fantastic. I
Yeah.
mean, it's phenomenal, beautiful pictures. And it looked to me, it looked like for real underwater pictures.
Could be.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong, but and I watched a video on it too. This sweet little Hindu girl did a video, um, Brainiac or something like that is what she called herself. I forget what it was, but I'll share it with you. It was a 5 minute video. And she even showed a bunch of different sonographs and maps and um, like underwater photos
Mm.
of this place. And it too had this huge natural land bridge that
Right.
connected it to,
Australia and India,
um,
I would imagine.
yes, yes, India, because isn't Tamil, is that how you say it? Tamil?
We say Tamil. Yeah.
Tamil,
Tamil.
Tamil.
Yeah.
Isn't that India or isn't that
Yeah.
part of India? Yeah. The people of that area have their own lore of this Kamari Kandam, um, that this is the origin of civilization, and that's where their people came from, and
Mm.
that's where all people came from. That
Okay.
was the cradle, like it was the Garden of Eden kind of cradle of civilization, right?
Yeah.
And that they flourished for like something like 10,000 years. This area flourished
Okay.
in the Tamilians people's stories.
Mm.
They say that the Kamari Kondam people civilization flourished for like 10,000 years. And this one guy came along and coined it Lumeria because of the land mass connection, the land bridge connection with the lemurs and stuff.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
that's how it got called Lumeria.
We'll get to
Um,
Lumeria in a second because I think there was a Lemurian time, a specific time in
I
Earth's
do too.
history where there was was called Lemurian. It was like the Lemurian time. It was a long time as
I do
well,
too.
many hundreds of thousands
Yeah,
of years. I think it's even maybe even longer
yeah.
if depending on who you believe. But before we go
Hmm.
there, I wanted to ask you about. Did you see that uh, the the Kamari Kandam, the inhabitants of Kamari Kandam, could have had 4 arms? Did you see that?
No.
So in India, when you see pictures of the gods, they always have 4 arms, or like an elephant with four
Yeah.
arms, or yeah, or people with 4 arms, and they're blue,
Yes.
or
And sometimes, yes, and sometimes people are still born that way today.
yeah. So that's what they were saying. They were
Blue.
saying
Some of
that
them are blue, and some of them have the four arms.
I didn't
Yeah.
know that. Really?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, it's really that
There's also blue people in Kentucky.
I got to see some. I got to see some photos. But this is not completely off topic, but there was a guy in America. I don't know exactly what he did to himself, but he started drinking cordial silver,
Colloidal silver.
and it turned him blue.
Yeah,
and
he
he
looked
and
just like Papa Smurf.
yeah, and he just didn't
Yeah.
stop drinking it, and he turned into he's just completely blue. That's
Yeah. It doesn't
so
hurt you. It won't
yeah,
hurt you, but it turned him completely damn blue. Yeah, sure did.
yeah,
Because he would drink it by the bottles full a day. Every
yeah,
day he would drink 16, 20 ounces of it.
right,
That's
yeah.
way too much
So
to
yeah,
way too much. But it will turn you blue. But there really is a family in Kentucky in the hills that's known as the Blue People.
oh okay,
And some of them were actually pink, like the
yeah,
color pink, but most of them were blue.
Oh, okay.
So
I'll look that up.
there's something to that. And in the Egyptian lore, Isis was blue, and I want to say Horus also was blue.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And by the way, everybody wants to say Horus was a male, but that's wrong. Horus was a female.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, it
Yeah.
what this video said was that it's very interesting. It was that all these gods and the pictures that you see of depicting these blue people with the four arms, like these could have been actual people that lived during that time. And
Yes.
yeah,
That's pretty fucking cool.
mm, yeah.
Love that.
And oh, there was something that you just said
I
that
mean, the
reminded me of
elephant
something
people were
else.
real too.
Sorry.
I said that means that the elephant people were real too.
Possibly. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Actually, there was a video
Elephant.
that I saw. We will talk about this another time because this is a little bit off topic, but there was a video that I saw
Okay. Let me find my note.
with
Go ahead.
I'll send it to you, but
I'll make
it
make a
was
note.
was about giants, and there was some loads of photos and even some video footage of these giants, these people that lived during our time. There were people next to them, but these giants were like double or triple the size of these humans that I saw. Um, so
Wow.
that was really interesting, and there's a lot more I think than we know. There was one in particular where there was a
Oh yeah.
video footage, and this guy was enormous. He had to have been, yeah, shit, I don't know, like 20 to 25 foot. I reckon I would have just at a guess.
Wow.
Hmm. And this was video footage too, so I will send that to you if I can find it
Oh,
again.
cool.
I'm sure I can find
Yes.
it, but
Yes. I hope you do.
yeah, I'm sure I will. I just
That's
got
awesome.
my history, but we can talk about we spoke about giants last time, but I think once we look at this video and we can look at some other things, we can talk more about them again. But
Okay. I
yeah,
dig that. I like giants.
but back to Lumeria. Uh, so I don't know exactly the time frame, but some people are saying anywhere from like 600,000 BC to 12,000 BC, or it lasted quite a number of years, and then it was the Atlantic period of time,
Yeah.
and 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 I did get a bit confused because Kumari Kandam was also called Lemuria, but then there was also another continent called Lumeria up near America, like between a bit further north, like I would say probably north of
Yeah.
north of Zealandia, in between Zealandia and America, somewhere around there was another
Yeah.
continent 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 called Lumeria.
Yeah. That's actually what I was going to say about the snippet of the man, the scientist guy, whatever kind of guy he was of a scientist, naming it Lumeria. I think that was like an intentional disinformation campaign, perhaps, to confuse people and make them think, oh well, maybe Lumeria didn't really exist then. You know, similar to the way they don't want us to know about any of the other history.
Yeah,
So they either call it, mythology and fairy tales or something, like Plato writing about Atlantis. Oh, well, that's not real. That we can't use that, you know. But I think it was like intentional
yeah.
misinformation kind of stuff. What's going on?
Have you met my cat before?
Oh, yeah, both of them. Which one you got?
This one
Hi, pretty kitty.
is Amber.
Meow.
She won't be able to hear
Hello, Amber. She's beautiful.
you.
So she was making that noise down there, huh?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. I really can't wait until the truth is divulged about our true history, because it's just going to be completely mind blowing.
Oh, I know, right?
Yeah, I mean, on a grand scale, I mean, it's out there, but we've got to sift through the information and the misinformation. I kind of want
Yeah.
to, I want a history book. That's not
That's what I was going to say.
real
Maybe
one,
we
you
will
know?
be writing the history books.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, I'd like a history book that's not, you know, with no agenda behind it. I just
Full
want to
bullshit.
know what the truth is, you know, and I want it to go back as far as possible, you know, to
Yeah. Shouldn't be too much to ask to have a history book that's not full of bullshit,
yeah, and that goes back hundreds of thousands of years.
right? That's
Yeah,
badass. Be
yeah.
like the encyclopedia of history.
Because yeah, because they say that the Earth is, I don't know, 6 billion years old or something. I don't know, or is it 100 billion? I got no idea, but it's probably not true.
Hell, I don't know.
I would like to know. I'd also like to know like
It's not.
how it was created. You know, like who,
Yeah,
how big it is. You know, are we you know, I think we can all agree now at this point that it's there's a lot more to it than we know. You know, than we've been told.
yeah, and even in the layers of it, because we have all these caves, these cavern systems within the earth.
Right, right, yeah,
But now they've discovered that even like underneath of the Atlantic Ocean, that there's like a little bit of land mass type thing, and then there's another ocean that's even
yeah, right,
bigger
yeah.
than the Atlantic Ocean.
Mm.
I mean, like what? There's an ocean beneath the ocean that's even bigger than the ocean?
I think there's also one above the ocean.
How does that happen? I mean, like, what did Jules Verne know about the journey to the center of the earth?
Yeah. Well, you know, Admiral Byrd, you know who that is, don't you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He he spoke about when he went to the North and South Pole, how he went
Yep.
into some sort of place where there was a whole city and like it was really different to there
Yep.
were woolly mammoths. He said there was a woolly mammoth there or something,
Yeah.
and yeah, so
I would ride a woolly
yeah,
mammoth.
that'd be
I
very
would.
interesting.
I would.
Yeah.
I would ride one of them puppies.
You have to get on top of it first.
Well, I would get up there. I'm tough. I can climb.
Yeah. So what was what do you think was I don't know what else about Kamari Kandam did you find did you uncover that we
Oh my gosh.
haven't
Well,
discussed yet?
they definitely had to have had some type of commerce and economy, because this place, I mean, it looked fantastic. I'm not kidding you. It was like palace worthy, everything. Like
Mm.
every
Wow. Okay.
structure they showed was beautiful and very interesting, strange designs, things that I'd never seen before. Um, Everybody's got to look it up, because like the walls of the archways they would go in and then out, almost hourglass shape, except wider at the bottom,
Yeah.
and just very detailed, intricate stonework. Everything was just really, I would have loved to have lived there. It was really fantastic, you
Mm.
know. It was very like science fiction, fantasy, beautiful. It was really, really cool. So they had to have been really smart. They had to have had commerce and trade.
Well, they had four arms,
Um,
so they could build
I
things
mean,
doubly as fast.
well, right?
Mm.
But I mean, and to last 10,000 years or whatever it was, they had to have been doing something right. You
Yeah.
know,
I, ki- I kind of
that's
wonder
that's incredible.
after watching the Lost History of the Earth or the Lost History of the World or whatever it is, because they set the world up in such a way that they had free energy all over the place. Actually, one thing before I go there was interesting. It was like in I think it was a photo of India. There was one of those, you know how they have, you know how he talks about the Arc de Triomphe. It's a magnet, and they have them all around the world. There was one in
Yeah,
India that I saw in a photo in India.
really
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's not surprising though, is it? I mean,
Well, I mean, it wouldn't
they're probably all
surprise
over the
me.
place.
No.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I would think.
you know, to kind of go off of what you said about how this place was like palatial and looked really nice. It you know it's very possible that because of the way the world was set up, they could create a lot of that stuff, and it wouldn't have been so laborsome. You know, wouldn't have been so labor intensive because they had free energy. They had probably had a lot of other
Yeah.
technologies that we
Right.
don't have. You know,
Right. Exactly. And the girl that was narrating it, she was talking about how, like the land masses that we know of and we're familiar with didn't exist yet because it was still part of like Pangea or whatever. And, but that this continent, um, was like, what did she say? Asia. It was part of Asia, part of India is not part of Asia, is it?
kinda. I mean, it's
I don't know. Is it kind of?
yeah, it is.
Well,
It's
I
like
mean,
it.
like she was naming, yeah, like it was like Africa, Asia, India were all this one huge continent
Mm,
originally.
yeah,
And so that all of the peoples there in those areas would be like the offspring, I guess is how you'd say that, the offspring of these original peoples. And I lost what else I was going to say about it. She had said something else that was really interesting. So talk for a minute, not it'll come back to you. No pressure.
no, no pressure. Yeah, while it comes back to you, maybe we can talk a little bit about evolution because it all ties in together, especially with the giants and especially with these four-armed people and things like that. And and you know the official theory, and it's a theory as well. It's not fact. It's called the theory of evolution, which I find really funny
Exactly.
and interesting. Like, why wouldn't they call it
Good.
the fact of evolution? You know, why would they?
Yeah.
You know, so
Because they know they're lying.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So apparently we started as a fish, and that fish turned
Uh,
into a into a monkey somehow, and then suddenly, you know, later on
right?
we turned into the what we see in the mirror every day. There was a
Hmm.
guy who went around on YouTube like asking all these different scientists this one question. He's like, well, can you name uh and something that's happened in real life where something evolves like that, you know, like it changes. And
Hmm.
and one of the people said, basically, he basically said like, well, there's an animal that grows thicker fur or something like that, or like more feathers or something stupid, you know. And it's like the animal hasn't changed, you know. You know, it's one thing to say that creatures evolve with their environment, you know, and over time they develop a thicker fur or they develop, you know, different teeth or something. That's different. But if you're talking about this genetic, you know, going from a fish to a monkey to a human, this sounds so stupid. This sounds
Right.
so crazy, and
Right.
we haven't seen it in real life ever since, have we? You know, we haven't
Never.
seen
No.
it. We think we would have observed it at least once, or at least maybe we could, with all the scientific experiments that we do, maybe we could have sped something up and watched it happen in a lab. But that hasn't even happened either.
Right. Right. Because they've done these experiments with salamanders and lizards and stuff where they put them on an island that they're not native from and leave them there for 10 and 20 years and then come back and check them to see how much evolutionary change happened in them. And it really ain't much.
No,
It ain't much, you
yeah,
know?
they didn't turn into
So, I mean,
humans
if
or
they're
anything.
right, and I mean, they didn't, it wasn't a lizard friendly island that they were put on either, you know?
Right,
They survived, but it didn't change them. It didn't make them evolve so that they could better survive.
sure,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
And funny that you would know and bring up the whole thing about us being amphibious first, because a lot of people actually are not aware of that. I remember having school books because I'm old enough for that. I remember having school books where they taught us in school, in like elementary, that we came from the water and, lost our fins and our gills and
Yeah.
grew legs and arms and started walking on the earth. I remember them teaching that.
Yeah. It
I
just sounds
actually
so
remember that,
ridiculous. It sounds so ridiculous when you say it.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
Doesn't it? And then, the monkey thing came along. And so now everybody that's got an RH positive on their blood, which also a lot of people don't understand, but apparently those people have the rhesus monkey gene
Uh-huh.
in their blood.
Right.
And so, and they tell you that we evolved from apes. And my argument on that always has been, if we evolved from apes, why are the apes still here?
Yeah, exactly.
you know,
Yeah, it's a good point.
why didn't the rest of them evolve? You know,
Yeah.
why didn't all of the rest of the monkey kingdom evolve?
Or the
Why
fish,
just us?
you know?
Yeah, or the fish for that matter. How come the rest of the fish didn't want to come up on shore? Mermaids come up on shore.
Yeah.
They
Yeah. Exactly. If it
didn't evolve to just a human.
no, and if anything, you would think they would have the best chance of doing it, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Because they're already
yeah,
half something, you know.
right, right.
There's that moth
See the
again.
little
How
moth
many
fly?
how many moths do you have in your house?
Jesus, there's like 100 of them in my house all of a sudden. I don't know what the deal is. I
Maybe
mean, what it's a new thing for me to have a moth invasion.
yeah. Could be worse. Worse.
I've never experienced that before. I guess it could be worse. It could have been cicadas because that's what it was supposed to have been this year. And we
Right.
never got cicadas.
Well,
So,
the moth might turn into a mothman, and then you'd have these
well, it better not.
human-sized moths in your house.
No, thank you. Trying to give me nightmares, David.
Have you seen that movie? Have you seen that movie, The Mothman Prophecies?
Oh, hell yeah. I own it.
Oh, you have? You're in it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I loved everything paranormal growing up. So, yeah, I've got um, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Close Encounters of the Fourth Kind, The Mothman Prophecies. I've got them all.
Yeah.
Escape from Witch Mountain. I have that one. That was
Uh-huh.
a Disney one. But yeah,
Yeah.
I've got all those. I love that kind of stuff.
You like horror films? Not,
I like horror films, but only those kind.
oh,
I
like the
don't watch. I used
paranormal
to
horror
watch.
films, not the gory ones.
Yeah, no. When I was young, I watched the gory ones, but I don't want that shit in my head now.
Yeah. No, I don't like them. I used to really dislike them, but I've watched a few in the last few years, and they weren't even that scary anymore. But
Yeah.
I do like the Halloween franchise, so I'll definitely go watch that when the next one comes out, which is soon
Yeah.
in a couple of months. But
Didn't
we
we
like
have this conversation?
yeah, like last week or something.
Okay. I was like, is this deja vu?
Yeah, but not on air. But yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Like it's like what I think has happened, and they probably didn't think like this, but every time you start a lie, you have to have another lie to back that one up, and so on and so forth. So it's no wonder that everything we know is a lie, because it's like there are so many things. Every you say something, that something else has to you have to say something else, to carry that
Yeah.
one, and it just becomes this massive web. And
Yes. It's like I was just thinking of that old saying, oh, what tangled webs we weave when once we practice to deceive,
yeah, yeah,
because you got to keep up with them and it's exhausting to lie.
exactly,
it's
yeah,
That's an exhausting thing for people.
yeah,
You shouldn't have to do all that. Just be honest and then you don't have to keep up with it.
yeah. Do you think we'll have a like a ceremonial burning of the books, all the dishonest ones? You know what I mean?
Oh, I hope we don't, because that will hurt me so bad. I will be so in pain over it. I even books that I don't like, I hate to destroy them. I
Yeah, no, I
hate
don't think we
getting
should.
rid of them.
I don't think we should, but we
Yeah.
should put them in it. We should lock them in a big room where nobody can access them, or because
But then doesn't but if we did that, doesn't that make us just as bad as them for refusing to allow certain knowledge? Because I think it's a good thing to have them around to refer back to and remind people, or if they're curious, they'll have them available to look at
right,
all of the deception. I think it's
true. Oh
important to
yeah,
keep
well
them
that's
around
true.
to remember the deception, you know? Yeah, and we don't want to ever tell people you can't learn this or you can't know that ever again, you know.
Yeah, no,
We
that's a good
want them
point.
to know. And
Yeah,
as long as we're honest about, why that shit's in that book, then they'll get it. I mean, sure, you might have your occasional dumbass that comes along that thinks, oh, well, this was, he'll be the new conspiracy theorist. This stuff must be true, right?
yeah, the reverse conspiracy theorist.
Right? It'll all be just like flipped.
That's funny, but yeah, it will get
Yeah.
confusing,
Yeah.
and I don't know, it's going to be crazy though. Like history books will be rewritten, in,
Oh, they definitely will be.
mm,
Yeah.
especially
And
what's
I kind
happening
of feel
now.
like,
Especially what's happening now. Can you imagine
yeah.
when they start writing that one, and we have to make sure that
Well,
it's how they say it
go
is,
ahead.
not like how they want us to think it is. Like they would, if
Hmm.
you know, they might say it
I feel like,
started in China in a bat, in a bowl of bat soup or something, and then
right. Right.
and then all
I
this
feel
stuff.
like we already know a lot of the history writers that will be writing those books because they've already been writing about it now, you know.
Hmm.
Lose you? You froze.
No, I'm still here.
Am I froze?
No,
Okay.
but yeah, well, that's fine as long
But
as
you know
they've
what I
put
mean
up.
though, right?
Yeah, as long as they've put it pen to paper. If it's just on the internet, then that can disappear anytime.
Right. But I'm saying we probably already could like guess at a few of who will be the writers of our new history books because it's people that are already like
Doing
actionable
the
in
work.
that
Yeah,
now. Yeah. Like
right.
big truther names, people that are real truthers
Yeah,
telling it and writing it.
yeah, I think they could any people that have a YouTube channel that's dedicated to one area or multiple areas, whatever, they could get them to write it, and because they've done a lot of research
Right.
into it.
Right. I'm trying to think of the name of the guy on Twitter. Who actually led, what was the name of the man that actually led the Revolutionary War in 1776? Um, he's not the guy that got the credit for it. What's his
I'm
damn
not
name?
sure.
It'll come to me.
I would be guessing.
It'll come to me.
Not General Patton.
But no, um, seems like it started with a T. It'll come to me in a minute. Anyway, that's the handle that the guy on Twitter used. And he was a writer 4 and 5 years ago and has followed this whole movement, putting it together in chronological order
Okay.
and publishing, you know. Um, for God's sakes, what is his name? I mean, he's got his own website and everything now. He really grew big. Um, Jesus, I'm going to Google it while we're talking because that's going to drive me crazy. So say something, David.
But I got nothing right now.
Oh my God. We can't have dead air. That's bad mojo.
I'll cut it out.
Okay. 1776 leader. I guess is how I should word that. See,
Yeah,
George Washington is who got credit for it, but it wasn't George Washington that I'm talking about. It was the other guy that actually led it. Hang on, I'm gonna go to the list of the military leaders. It should be in there, and I know I will know as soon as I see it. It just hit me. Thomas Paine is his name.
Thomas Paine. Okay.
Thomas Paine. Yeah. But the guy on Twitter, he has kept all of this in chronological order, and it's like fabulous the way he's kept up with it. And then there was another guy that was called Maga Pill, like MAGA, and then Pill.
Yeah.
And he was also on Twitter, and he also was writing and publishing and keeping things in chronological order. So I think people like that is who will end up at least having a hand in writing our history books. And then, of course, like Rush Limbaugh should get his own props and for what he's done for our history.
Yeah.
And even that damn Mark Levin or whatever his name is, he's kind of a loud man, but he knows our history well, the true history. And he's always screaming it from the top of his lungs. So he'll be one of them to make sure the history books get written correctly again for America anyway.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I think there's lots of people that, and I'm sure worldwide, there's been people in Hong Kong that have kept track of this very closely and is part of the revolution, you know, that I watched on Twitter, followed on Twitter for a long time. So I think that we probably collectively could all guess a pretty good guess at who will have a hand in helping to collaborate on writing our new history books. Because there's been some very good researchers and reporters that have been following this, self-made reporters that have been following this from its inception, you know,
Right.
for at least the last 6-7 years, right?
Okay, well, that's good. That's good then.
Awkward.
Do you have anything else you wanna add? I've run out of stuff now.
You've run out of stuff now? I don't
Yeah.
know. Well, we could go ahead and plug our show that we're going to do Wednesday with Kimberly. David's going to join Kimberly and me on Wednesday Wisdom.
Yeah. Yeah. I will be joining
That's going to be fun.
Kelly and Kimberly on Wednesday. 11 a.m. Is that right?
PM. Well,
11 p.m.
yeah, AM.
11 a.m. for me. Yeah.
Yes.
Tuesday.
Right?
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Thursday. It'll be my Thursday. My Thursday.
Oh, don't mess me up again.
Yeah. I think it will.
My Wednesday, 11 p.m. I don't know what it is for you.
I'll work it out. I'm 12 hours ahead of you, so yeah. Man, it's raining big time now. I'll cut that out.
You say it's raining big time?
Yeah, it's raining.
Thank you.
Time. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. And what else is happening? Next week we're talking about the Black Plague.
Yeah, next week we'll talk about the Black Plague, and then
yeah.
So that should be really interesting, because I'm of the mind now, knowing what I know about these things. We're currently experiencing one in many ways, and I just don't see them just appearing out of nowhere. You know what I mean? I just don't see it all of a sudden. You know, these people are fine, and all of a sudden they get affected by something, they get infected with something, and then I just don't see it. you know.
Yeah. Damnedest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's crazy. But up until up until only in the last year did I you see things like disease and sickness, and you just think it's normal. But I don't think it has to be normal. I think it's very easy. It could very well be not normal. I don't think it's normal at all.
Oh, yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's all just a function of a lifestyle choice, and not only that, but in other ways, things that we're exposed to, the stresses of life, and get you sick, and but also in a more sinister sense, there's
Yeah.
a certain group of people that are actually engineering these things too. So you know,
Right.
mm.
Right.
and there's
Yeah.
nothing
And
to
who
say that the
knows what
Black
they were
Plague
really doing?
isn't the same thing.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
Yep. Who knows? Who's to say that they weren't engineering shit then too? I mean,
yeah,
especially with us learning that this phenomenal technology that we have now is nothing really new, that they've had it for a long damn time, decades, right? And so if we've had this kind of technology for decades, imagine what they had decades ago that we didn't know about already,
yeah,
previous to the 60s.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's a
Shady
lawyer. There's a
shysters.
there's a lawyer here who over east who uh, has documents showing, proving that the government here has been manipulating the weather since the 60s. So that was 60
Yeah.
years 60 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, you can go on like FEMA's website and different places like that. I think the Navy's website too. And
Mm,
you can actually read, or at least you could before. It might not be there now with all the censorship and shit. But you used to be able to go and be able to read on their website all of the studies that they have filed and listed of weather manipulation and weather modification um, projects that we've been doing here in the United States and with Great Britain since the 50s and the 60s. And
yeah.
like it was nothing new then,
Mm,
you know, like that
yeah.
was nothing new to them, to seed the clouds and manipulate the weather and create earthquakes and different stuff, and I remember when I read that, actually, when I learned that, the first thing that I thought of was what's his name? Hero Chavez was the president of, was it Chile? Was he the president of Chile?
I don't know.
Chavez. He's dead now. They assassinated him. I think
Recently.
our three-letter agents, like about, well, I think it was the 90, well, no, early 2000s,
Yeah.
because he publicly said that it was like right after Haiti's earthquake is when it happened. Okay.
Oh, okay.
That he
Yeah.
publicly said that our government caused that earthquake,
Mm,
that they did it intentionally.
yeah. Yeah.
And I remember, and his plea, and I know there's a lot of people have their opinion about Chavez, that he was a dictator and blah blah blah. But I'm telling you, I pick up on people's energy signatures when they're talking. And this man was looking at the camera and pleading with Americans. Listen to me. I love Americans. I don't hate you. I'm not trying to bring harm upon you, but your government created this earthquake in Haiti, and you
Mm,
need to learn why.
yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
that stuck with me because of his energy signature in that message. And
Right.
then I learned this stuff about how they did the weather modification and they could cause earthquakes and stuff like that. I learned about that doing research. And now, okay, and that was 10, 12 years ago, I learned that stuff. Flash forward to the past 4 to 6 years and the things we've learned about places like Haiti and
Mm,
what happened after that earthquake,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's just like, damn, man, that makes perfect fucking sense.
Mm,
That makes perfect sense.
yeah.
So yeah, I think that they are causing earthquakes. I think they are doing a lot of really bad shit
They're
and
doing it
playing
right
God.
now. They're doing it right now,
That's what I mean.
all over the world,
That's what I mean.
like
Yeah.
fires, flooding
And
everywhere.
all this damn rain worldwide that's been happening, making everybody think it's like Noah times again. You know, we need to build an ark.
Yeah, yeah. I saw some video footage
That's not nature.
of a tornado in England somewhere, and
Really?
yeah, and a water spout in Singapore. Like these things are not normal. You don't
That's not normal at all. No.
no. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy. I mean,
Yeah, they need to leave Mother Nature alone.
yeah.
I mean,
I
if you're
mean,
going to do things to manipulate the weather, it ought to be to, for the higher good of the planet and the people, not destructive.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
there's and they have like they can manipulate droughts and everything, so they can do
Yeah.
all of that.
Oh, but I just want to add to that in my very energetic, chipper mood to remind everyone that all of these mechanisms that we have, all of these tools, all of these machines, they are all mimicked after us. They're mimicked after our abilities. And
Mm,
I manipulate weather all the time. And I was just thinking that I manipulate weather all the time, but I do it for the good of mankind, right? For the good of the planet.
mm,
And and then it hit me as you were talking, we could actually flip all of that too, David. I mean, there is no limit to what we can do if we change our thought.
yeah, right.
We could flip that. We can turn off the water spout. We can we can turn off the faucets that's making it rain all over the damn place. We could do
Mm,
it if we wanted to. Um, actually, George Norrie that does Coast to Coast AM, it's a nighttime
yeah,
radio program. I'm
yeah,
sure you're familiar with him. He does a lot of like group projects where we will work as light workers together, energy workers, and focus on like the flood or the drought that was in Texas for a while, and then they ended up with a flood because we were focusing too much water on them, and so we we started realizing we got to really be careful how we focus. I mean, this was like 15 years ago, but you know,
okay,
um, we've been doing things like that as light workers collectively for a long time, helping to control the weather.
mm,
Even here locally in my own area, if we get a tornado watch or a tornado warning, I go out and do the old earth magic like my Native American grandfather taught me, and I park the storm, you know?
yeah,
So, I mean, we can control weather. We can control earthquakes. We can control all of what Earth and the atmosphere throws at us if we realize our power.
right.
So
Yeah,
I'm done. I'm off my soapbox now, y'all. But
no,
get in your power.
that's a good point because I think part of the reason why we have earthquakes and part of the reason why we have massive storms is not just because it can be manipulated, and who knows how often it is and how
No,
often it
it's
isn't, but it's also because we're in so much conflict with ourselves and with each
chaos,
other
the
that
chaos.
that
Yeah.
causes it.
Because the whole tectonic plate thing moving, that's bullshit. That's not what causes an earthquake.
Mm,
The sun, solar flares can cause an earthquake. That's a
yeah,
fact. Solar flares hitting the earth can cause the energy of an earthquake.
right,
But yes, chaos, us having this complete chaotic influx of energy all the time,
yeah,
pulsing out of sync with the earth,
yeah,
damn right it's going to cause things like that to happen. We're
yeah.
doing it and we don't even realize we're doing it.
Exactly. I mean, everybody's got an
Yeah.
energetic field around them. So if that energetic field is not a high vibration, then we're going to cause whatever it is, that we're putting out there.
Right.
So, and the
Right.
collective, obviously the collective is so powerful. So it really isn't
It is very even when we don't realize we're powerful because we've always been powerful. We just
Mm.
haven't always known it
Right.
until now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I was shown the two timelines, the two separate outcomes for the one funneling down to the one timeline, because all the rest of them are collapsing.
Right.
There was a very clear message for the timeline that was really bad for us, and that it's if we don't wake up to our power, and that's a double-edged sword, that statement, because not only do you have to wake up and realize all of the lies around you, but you also have to wake up and realize the truths about you, right? And realize that you were doing half this shit and you didn't even know you were doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, we got to own it. We got to really own it. We got to realize where we've been fucking up by not knowing what kind of power we have and what we're doing. And we have to really stand in our power and direct it with good intent. So it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And obviously, we see that reflection in our own life too. If we're vibrating at a low frequency, and we may not even know what frequency means at that point, if we're vibrating such a low frequency because we're not conscious enough, then we're going to just attract to ourselves, or we're going to be depressed, we're going to be angry, we're going to just attract into our life all these things that don't really, it's not going to work. Things you'll feel like life is against you, and it's not really going to work in your favor. So,
right.
When I first started this journey, there was a guy, a business coach, who I was in his group, and he was saying that it's your fault for X, it's your fault for that Y is happening to you. And one of the women in my group said, "So is it my fault that I got breast cancer?" And and in many ways it is, because it's a lifestyle choice. It's the decisions that you make that allow that to manifest into your existence. On the other hand, sometimes people, like my uncle, he died of cancer 2 years ago, and everyone's telling me, "Oh, it was in the family. That's why it is." But it's not that either. It's the idea that it's in the family that makes you. And he was really healthy. He was a doctor.
It's all about thought and choices and free will.
Exactly. It's the thought power. It's the thought power. It's like, because he had a really, I mean, also, him being a doctor, he was very brainwashed. So, he's like, people in that situation, they think they're doing themselves a good thing, but then maybe they're not, because they've been taught, like we all have, to live a certain way. We don't know, that, it's only later on that we find out that these things are a lie because of the research that you do and the journey that you take. But a lot of people don't know that. So, even though he got cancer, and on the surface, he may have lived a healthy life. He exercised and he was very slim and stuff, but he may have been doing other things that help manifest that, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, because your thought matters. And I'm not talking about just having negative thoughts. He might not have really ever had what you would think of as negative thoughts. But we have negative thoughts all the time and don't realize it. When you pick up that piece of cake or that fatty piece of deep fried chicken, what's your first thought? It's
Yummy.
bad for you.
Yummy.
Okay, but some people, their first thought is it's bad for me.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
But they're eating it anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe because of that thought, those are the people that end up with the high cholesterol.
It's true. It's all about intention, isn't it? It's all about intention.
Because that's what I mean. Like, it's all about it, people who smoke cigarettes and they feel guilty for smoking the cigarettes. Then they're always thinking about the cigarette is unhealthy for me, even though they're still smoking it. Right.
Right.
I mean, thought matters. Thought matters a lot.
Yeah. But
like a lot. It's everything.
But given that,
and
that
then there's also,
given that
There's
line of
also like
thinking.
stress, just normal stress is negative thoughts too. When you're stressed about stuff, you've got negativity. And so that creates cortisones in your body.
Right.
And everybody knows now, doctor wise at least, that cortisones have a big hand in balancing your pH, which then allows you to get cancer. So again, it goes back to thought, right? Because some people handle stress very well and other people don't.
Right.
And it's just who they are in their mind. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing or whatever. I'm just saying, some people need more help learning how to deal with those things and to control those thoughts.
Yeah.
So please don't anybody think that I'm saying that it's your fault you have cancer, shame on you or anything like that. Please don't.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
My point
it's not
was that
like that.
it's all about the thought process and in many ways also lifestyle choice. So if somebody does get cancer, unfortunately, then you know it's like take a maybe you get chemo and maybe it doesn't kill you, maybe it actually does its job for once and it works. But if you don't change anything about your existence, then you're going to get it again, you know.
Right. And but that changing in your existence could just simply be your thought, is my point.
Yeah.
Because I teach people to transmute energy, right? So if somebody tells me that using my cell phone all the time is going to cause me to have cancer, but I really want to use my cell phone and I'm not going to be fearful of it, then I've made up my mind. I'm not going to be fearful of it, and it's not going to hurt.
Hmm.
5G is not going to hurt me because I'm shielded from 5G. You see?
Yeah.
It's
But
a thought.
sure. But what about, let's just pretend that you have that same thought process, and let's just pretend every day you drink, drinking all the time, and is it not going to catch up to you at some point, even though you still have that same thought process, you know?
Well, of course, if you're doing like very harmful things to your body, it's going to affect your body. Yes. Unless you've got an immaculate range of control of your thought process, it's going to affect your body. That's a
Mm,
fact. I mean,
right.
everyone knows that. Now, I'm not saying that all things could be cured if we were just happy go lucky. You have to truly, you have to truly control your thought to where it's not a fear and it's not a stupidity either,
Yeah,
right?
of
You're not
course.
being an imbecile about things. Um, but you're not walking in fear of things either,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, like,
You still need to exercise
what are the
some sort of control. You still need to exercise some sort of control. Yeah, it's a balance. Yeah, but you could, but you
it's about
could, but you could also have a good thought process around, it's just like you said, cakes or whatever. And if you have one cake a day, not a whole one, but like one slice of cake a day, then then you know then
not a whole one,
no, not a whole one.
but yeah,
But if you
but
had
yes,
like one or two, maybe even two, if you wanted to, like indulge. But yeah, if you had one slice of cake a day, it probably wouldn't be the worst thing. As long as you don't
right,
think you're gonna put on weight or whatever it is. Like it like
right,
when I was living in London, I'd never eaten so much junk food in my entire life. Every office I went to, they had a designated cake biscuit
junk
area.
food, right?
Yeah, junk food corner.
Yeah,
And every time it finished, like every somebody was leaving, with a lot of contract workers there, someone was leaving, or it was somebody's birthday, or in one office I've worked in, they would just fill it up every time it disappeared. They just fill it up again. So I could not avoid this stuff, and I love that kind of sweet things. And not only
yeah,
did I eat them during then, but I'd also buy my own on the weekends too. So it was
right,
bad, but the entire time I didn't gain any weight because I had
right,
it I had it in my head that I don't get fat, even though I had all that
right.
stuff. And I was working out
Right.
too. I worked out 3 or 4
Yeah.
times a week, but it was still, you can't work off all of that sugar. You just can't. You have to
Yeah.
be training hours and hours and hours and hours a day to even just to work off all of those calories. So it's not really possible.
Unless you think yourself thin.
Exactly. Yeah. But there is a fine line. You
Yeah.
can't you can't
I mean, sure, there has to be a balance in everything. I mean,
yeah.
common sense and logic. We know what the food pyramid is. We know what foods are good for us and which ones aren't. It's
The food
okay to
pyramid
overindulge once in
is
a while.
a bit
The food
questionable too,
pyramid.
isn't it?
Well, yeah, but I mean, but you get the gist of what I'm saying, right? We know that fruits and vegetables and, whole grains and yada yada are all things that should be part of our daily diet, whatever and whatever. And we know that we should exercise at least a little bit. I mean, we know the basics for how to stay healthy.
Yeah.
So take that knowledge and balance it with controlling thought. Don't throw it all out the window and just go on thought alone, right? But use your common sense, use your logic, and then also practice being mindful of your thoughts and how you feel about food or how you feel about whatever you do in life, right?
Yeah.
Um, because it is about loving yourself and it is about being generous to yourself, just like you would everyone else. We all deserve a treat once in a while.
Yeah.
I prefer
But
donuts.
actually, I just had a thought, and I also want to add to the thing about it not being your fault that if you get a disease or whatever it is, whatever that disease is, it,
Yeah,
it, may, it
yeah,
may
yeah.
be it may be life threatening, but on some level, it doesn't have to be your fault. But it's definitely, you don't want to be in the victim mode and say, okay, well, it's not my fault, so I can't fix it. Like, you can absolutely fix it, and that's
Right,
that's
right.
what's important that we need to remember is not being in the victim mode. If something bad does happen to us, it's our responsibility to fix it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, sometimes things do happen to us that we didn't think we had control over. And okay, maybe
And
you
some things
might
are
have.
out of our control
Who
for
cares at
sure.
this point? It's too late. The trouble is in front of you. Right.
Yeah.
Some things are out of our control. Not most things, but some things. But however you got to the point where you now have X, Y, or Z, you don't give up on that. You don't give up on yourself or give up on being healthy again or well. Start focusing your thoughts on that and you know heal from within on the cellular level because it's very real. It's very possible. It can happen. It can happen. Like
Yeah.
seriously, it can happen.
Yeah.
There are thousands and thousands of testimonies out there of people who have changed their thought to heal.
Mm.
And I mean that's half the battle with anything, right? If you've got a positive outlook on it, you can get through anything.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It is. It is. And I think that's probably a really good place to leave it.
I think it is too. I love all of you. Please don't be mad at me for saying anything that would remotely sound like I'm just saying it's all your fault at all. Because even if it is your fault, it really isn't your fault because you didn't know, because they've lied to us all along.
Exactly. Yeah.
If
That's
we
exactly
knew
right.
from the get go who we were, none of
That's
this
ex-
would ever happen.
that's exactly right. If 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 we weren't programmed in the way that we were, or
Yeah,
that we are, we wouldn't experience a
yeah.
lot of the stuff that we experience in life. Period. We would have a completely
Oh,
different outlook, a
yeah.
completely different everything. So it's not your
Yes.
fault, but it is our job to fix whatever happens to us. You know.
It's time to take control. It's time to remember who you are and take control of your life again in all aspects.
Yeah, especially in the desserts area.
Yeah, eat those donuts. Ooh, them donuts. I love donuts.
Yeah. Well, if anybody wants to get Kelly a present, get her a box of donuts and have it delivered to Indiana.
Send me donuts.
All right,
Yeah,
Kelly.
shoot me an email. I'll give you my address. You send me donuts. All right, David, I had fun
All right, me too. I'll speak to you very
as
shortly.
always. Okay, bye, guys.
Bye bye.